Okay, so we're going to continue the test, and this time we're going to be going up against Dragon Link. Dragon Link has been doing quite well recently. We have a friend at our locals named Harrison. He's a major Dragon Link enthusiast. He loves that deck, and he tries to adapt it to every format he can. And he ended up winning our OTS championship last weekend, which is it's pretty cool. Into Savage Pass play. My hand is kind of weak versus his board because Meter Breaker accomplishes almost next to nothing. It doesn't target, this doesn't destroy, so like you get no value off of the card. And then it's very normal summon reliant. I would need to draw into like an overtake to maybe get something done. Then I would have to like bait the Savage with this, but then I don't think he'll bite because it doesn't really stop anything. Like I'm assuming he has like Veilers in hand, maybe then, but I don't think it'll get the job done. So good in, I draw into Branded Beast. Okay, so Bystial package with triple Rebellion, triple every Bystial. And this is a one of, this is I drew 3 one-ofs. I mean, not likely to happen, but it will happen, unfortunately. And going second, this does next to nothing, especially if you open it with no Bystials to like interact and simplify their objective of what they're trying to accomplish, right? So it's not looking too great game 1. Like, I activate that, he lets it resolve, effect, he negates it. Go battle phase. Yeah, there's not much you can do after that. There's not much. Then we go to game 2. Game 2 is a bit more promising because this hand is insane. Like already opening up Junk Converter with Stardust and double. That I almost let you play almost like what that 2-3 hand traps. Assuming none of them is the Nibiru and Permanent Biru Veiler. You know, okay, that can be a bit problematic. But nonetheless, it lets you play around like a Bystial because. The good thing about Converter is not a dark, so they can't target that, you know, so that's really nice. Oh my goodness, I hit the Lava Golem. That's insane. I hit the Lava Golem, that's really good. You do not want them to be tributing off your established board. Going back to the Converter line, right? It's not a dark, so they can't, it goes untouched. You can feel free and feel secure that the moment you summon Junk and you target Converter, they need to Imperm Veiler there, then you can be sure that, okay, Speeder is going to resolve because they didn't have Imperm Veiler. So I sequence off, and knowing how the extra deck has changed, I'm trying to fulfill those synchros, right? So high level synchros to end on Cheng-Ying, end on Shen-Shen, and then end on Crystal Wing as well alongside Herald, because like you want to combat tier, and those cards are really good versus tier. So there's the first one. So I have my 2 big boys here. The Cheng-Ying pairs so well with the Bystials, right? Because it's like a Trish. It'd be amazing if it could rip a card from hand as well. How crazy would that be? So I have double Bystial, 2 different names. I mean, I can banish twice. So trigger this whenever I want, basically. And this has 2 Omnis. Any card sent from the grave, from the hand or decks to the giver's bench. So it turns off a few cards. Not a lot, but quite a few. So the overtake is gonna give me my last boss. This is so good. Just having this card is insane with your board. It just makes you feel so secure. I should have gone for the pitch first to get another draw. I mean, it's very minimal, very minimal, but nonetheless, it could have been another draw. Yeah, this is your typical end board now. It's very tier hate driven. You want to ensure cards get banished because tier just does not like cards being banished. We're well aware of what Shifter does to that matchup. Shifter just ends their turn majority of the time. And this is kind of like that, you know? So that's where Branded Beast comes in. So the moment they try to run it over, what do you do? You just Branded Beast, pop it, right? So then once you pop it, if they have another attempt to try to run it over, okay, what do you do now? Well, it's kind of weird because everything will get banished, so you won't be able to trigger Cheng-Ying. So that's a bit odd. But let's say you, for some reason, they end up getting a card out of the graveyard, then you can just spot removal once again and protect the Herald, which is really nice. So then I go ahead and pass with this. And then he has another Lava Golem, another one. I mean, what are you gonna do? I can't hit both. I mean, I still have my Herald, I still have my Shen-Shen, and my Crystal Wing, my Pop, and double. Like, it's just hard to lose at this point because Librarian just generates you so many resources. It's just insane. He goes for that. I let it resolve, and it's over. Moving along to game 3. Okay, so look at this hand. Look at this hand. So until now, this is still one of the best 2-card combos in the game right now. Because it's so versatile in the sense that you have Excel or you go straight into Speeder. And if Speeder resolves, your options are limitless at that point. Because there's so many levels to to consider of what you want to do, right? And this is a perfect example of how you can adapt these two cards to the current format. Before it was very different. Like we would end on a different board. Now we have Chengyi now, we have Shenzhen now. You know, that's quite a drastic change. And then you can have any other board breakers. Like it's just crazy. So he starts off with Seyfert, and I'm assuming he's gonna start off doing the same thing, which is okay. Seals, Savage, with like Bystials in hand and pass. That's like what they typically do at the moment. Just a bunch of hand traps. Very simplified the game state, and then they just follow up and kill you the following turn, which is simplified. Okay, so then I draw into a second overtake. So right now, I'm thinking, okay, well, I can easily just break this board. I can track this board easily, right? I want to preserve this in case my speeder or I get interacted with and my board doesn't get fulfilled, right? So at least I have another interaction, because I could have easily just gone imperm this, storm, right? And then I would have this. And evenly does nothing for me if I try to initiate a combo and I get stopped midway, you know? Whereas these do, and I get to keep this. So I go storm, bait this, go battle phase evenly, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. And even if he decides to not chain the seals, I still have imperm for that. And then if he has hand traps, then okay, well, fair enough. But this is the best way to go on about the line. So I go storm, he negates. I go battle phase. Right here, the option would be just to not seals here, and keep the seals for the bounce and let this get banished. It's negated anyways. It doesn't do anything anymore. I don't think that was the smart way to do it, but either way, it didn't matter. I still had seals. I still had imperm to stop the seals bounce. And at that point, it was very vulnerable. I would kind of have to go for the XL line just to play around Valor, you know, stuff like that. But nonetheless, resolve. So I'm this guy. I could have imprimed this here, but once again, I want to keep this for his turn in case I get stopped, right? And I don't interact here. I go overtake into Junk Synchron, summon Doppel. This is insane. Once you get to this point, you're like holding your breath. Does he have Valor? If he has Vader, I made the wrong decision because he could have gone to XL line. But that's something you'll be facing majority of the time whenever you play this deck. Do I go XL route? Do I go into speeder line? Which one do I do? That will determine whether you're going to lose. Because if you go the XL line, you have more. You become a bit more resilient because of what you send. You send Jet, and then you have Doppel, so you have Shaman access. But at this point, I was like, oh, let me just go for it. So it resolves. So at this point, I'm like, okay, what else can he have? And he has Nibiru. Okay, so this was a smart choice of keeping the infinite impermanence in case this would happen. You still kind of accounted for it. And this is where the Yazi play comes up. Okay, this is where Yazi is insane. It's a brick you have to add to your deck, but the payoff is extremely... it's well worth it. It's well worth it. See? Yazi line, pop, pop. So right here, if you had another Valor, okay, that's fine. So that means he would have 2 cards left in hand if he interacted with this here. He would have the Bystial, he'd be able to search, and he would have a random card he'd draw. But then I have a Valor imperm to stop any, I guess, stop him at the optimal moment, right? And then I have overtake to then attempt to go for the XL line the following turn, which is really nice. I go for the entire play, go for the TG draws. I pitch for Jet first in case he does have Crow or something along those lines. So then I can just go XL, send, you know, because otherwise if I go TG, I pitch and he Crows, I'm stuck with TG and tokens that does nothing. So that's the reason why I did it that way. And I'm considering of how the X deck has changed, and it's still getting used to it because I'm so conditioned to ending on a different particular board. But nonetheless, we learn. Changing. Go for this. Go for the Baron. Right. This is so good. Like double Bystial imprint. Like this is no way. This is no way. What does Dragon Link do to this? This is no way. Look at this. Bystial. Let that go through. That's fine. I negate the Bystial. That's the one I really should interact with. Resolves. This was the worst case scenario, right? This was the worst case scenario. So if I didn't have imperm, I wouldn't be in trouble, but it would make things a bit more tricky because then at this point he had more options to do. Like he would go into dark, revive, this, trigger this, you know. So this imperm made all the difference and that's something you have to learn to anticipate with. It's fundamentally something you should already know, and something you should gradually gear towards, so you can become better. And that's a big difference. So then I go Bystial, spot removal. There it is. So the list hasn't changed much. I just still trying the same list until I see an issue. That first game wasn't as likely to happen. I opened a bunch of one-ups. Like I opened this one of, this one of, this one of. Like, okay, the odds of that happening quite frequently is not going to be likely. So I'm not going to really consider that. But everything seems to be doing quite well. It still has one of the best 2-card combo in the game for sure. This and Doppel. Going second. You can decide accordingly depending if you're not going up against something that this is really good against. So that's what this is for, right? Imperm, very generically good against any rogue matchup, against Flu, hit the barrier statue, hit the Empen. There's times when you can side these 5 out, side these out, side these out. When you go second, facilitating these guys with these guys, with tuning and overtake, right? Because you don't want to be seeing this going second. It's going second. Like you only want this going first, so you can get this rotation to give your combo consistency. Because we saw if you open a double Bystial with this, that's still the Baron line with the Aussie. So that's you keep this in going first. Going second, you side these out because they don't really fulfill anything. That's assuming that you're gonna establish what you're trying to do, which is unlikely. So you take that out. You put in board breakers. And yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna keep grinding, trying to get matchups with some of the best decks of the format and see how this deck fares, and we'll just gradually change it. That's gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.